Hey Siri, call Joe Nemec.
Calling Joe Nemec. iPhone.
Hello. I am unable to answer my phone. Please leave a message. Thank you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey Joe, it's Ed. Bad timing here. I was online and all of a sudden everything's frozen. I don't know if it's there or if you're having the same problem. But anyways, I'll keep troubleshooting here. Sorry to bother. Period. Give her our best. Period.
You have reached the village of Sleepy Hollow. No recording extension is valid at any time. Please listen closely to the following options.
Are you guys on another computer? I have everything running and it just quit.
I'll get off.
Set it all up again. I was on the TV. I turned the TV on. I forgot about that.
Okay, so I start from the beginning.
Yeah, go back to the email.
Here, you do it.
yeah. Is he in history now? Is he a six too? Oh,
They would have had a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, like you said.
Yeah.
You ask him to log out and log back in.
Sure.
Oh, wait.
here's your best idea.
Started with ones that are 2019, the ones point of issue.
Wow.
Run the. How are you? Good, you?
That's the agenda.
I can.
Lawnmower. Get the crew fired up. Yeah, I'll bring it. Oh, I'll stand.
Well, I got the fourth. My pharmacist told me, reminded me when I told
Yeah, I know, right? I actually had a car.
Like I said, I figured it's seen something next year. So just all
Okay, it's called meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Perino.
Here.
Mr. Natalie.
Here.
Mr. Harney.
Here.
Mr. Thorne.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mr. Nimitz. We have a quorum, Mr. President. Okay, we have a quorum, we have a meeting, and the governor has once again reissued the gubernatorial proclamation for a disaster with the COVID, what do they call it, COVID virus? Forgot what it was these days. So once again, we are allowed to continue with remote attendance at the board meetings until the end of this month. And as we have a member of the board attending remotely, all votes this evening will be voice call, roll call again. Ed, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
I'm clear. Jeff, can you hear us? Find a mute. There it is.
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Okay, they can hear us, we can hear them. We'll move on with the agenda. First item on the agenda is the minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes of March 21st, 2022.
Before the motion, if I may point out, a scrivener's error, also my typo. And on page 2, there was a reference to Lake Chabot. No, I can't even talk tonight either. I apologize, folks. Sabatino, it should be Lake Sharon. It's corrected in the permanent minutes. So with that correction, unless someone else has any objections or corrections, that will be what is offered us tonight for approval.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of March 21st, 2022 with the changes that the clerk has mentioned.
Second.
Moved by Moreno, seconded by Thorne to accept the minutes of March 21st, 2022 with the change so noted. Any other changes, additions, corrections? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Natalie.
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Motion passes.
5 affirmative votes and no negative votes, the motion so passes. Okay, next item, President's report. First thing this evening, I'd like to take a couple of minutes and have Chief Parma bring forth Officer Diori for a public recommendation or recognition.
I mentioned this at last month's meeting, and I wanted to formally recognize Officer Diori for his actions. Got to put my cheaters on, sorry. I'll read just a summary of what I'm handing to Chris. On December 22nd, 2021, at approximately 7:56 hours or 7:56 p.m. Sorry, military time. Officer Chris Diori was dispatched to a well-being check in the 900 block of Locust Drive. Call involved a female experiencing a mental health issue who was potentially suicidal. As the call continued, the female subject became more agitated and out of control. The female stated that she was going to kill herself and began opening the door to the second floor balcony. Believing that she intended to jump off the balcony, Officer Diori moved towards the subject, grabbed her around her upper body to prevent her from harming herself. Officer Diori's quick and decisive actions prevented the subject from harming herself and allowing for her to be transported to the hospital for treatment. In doing so, he upheld the highest levels of police work and cast a positive light on our profession and our organization. Congratulations on a job.
Yeah, if I could get you two together.
Sure.
Okay, so
So it has no flash.
okay.
All right. All right, the next item on the agenda this evening is ordinance 22-5, an ordinance amending the provision of the village code regarding the planning and zoning commission. If you all will recall, about, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, we had trouble filling the three committees that we had, or commissions, the planning zone commission, the zoning commission, and the zoning board of appeals. Each of those groups had 7 members for a total of 21. We were having trouble finding 21 volunteers for those positions. So we combined the groups to form the planning and zoning commission, and we gave it a number of 9 members. Thinking that'd be easier to fill than 21. Well, we found that 9 is not as easy to fill as 21 it was either. So we're revising the numbers to 7. So that is ordinance 22-5 before you this evening. We will be changing the number of members from the zoning commission from 9 to 7. So if I could have a motion to approve ordinance 2022-5.
So move, Hardy.
Second, Diatley.
Okay, moved by Harney, seconded by Diatley to approve ordinance 2022-5, an ordinance changing the membership of the planning and zoning from 9 to 7. Any comments, questions, or discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Prano,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Okay, 5 affirmative votes and no negative votes. The motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item, once again, we're back to P and Z. We've got a 7th member here to join us this evening. I'd like a motion to appoint Daniel, what's his, Alanet? Something. Alalanto. Daniel Alalanto. To the P and Z. Please.
I move that we appoint Daniel Avalado to fill a position on the Planning and Zoning Commission as per President Pickett's recommendation. Brain.
Second, Diatley.
Moved by Moreno, seconded by Diatley to approve the appointment of Daniel Avalano to the P and Z. Any comments, questions, or discussion? Being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Dudley,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes, the motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen. The next and last item I've got for the president's report is to note that the P and Z meeting that was scheduled for last Monday night was canceled due to the lack of a quorum. Thus, we appointed an individual this evening, and they should be able to continue their meetings in the future. And that should be it for me. Thank you all. Clerk's report.
The only thing I have tonight is that some of you have probably already received, and those, by that I mean members of the board and of the staff, economic interest statement notifications from the county. Those are due by the end of, I think it's no later than May 2nd. And there is a $15 fine, which the village will not be paying for if you do not timely file it. But if you do not receive it by, what's today? Today's Monday. If you do not receive it by Thursday of this week, call me. I will figure out where the glitch is. It's an email notification that is coming to your home email address. It does not go through the village email. So it will come through to you personally. You can fill it all out online. You'll get a return receipt online and you're good to go. But it is a requirement that under state law that you do have to report any kind of economic interest that may be contraindicated with the municipality or in conflict with the municipality. And if anybody has any questions on, from the board has any questions on that, give me a call. We'll walk our way through it. Other than that, that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Planning and zoning. Tony.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Engineer, Mr. Steele.
Is Schuster up?
He's done.
Oh, okay. Basically, in your packet, you will see, just a second. Sorry, my computer tried to restart itself. You'll see in the packet is that there's a memo in regards to this year's street program. I believe it was a week and a half ago, is we had a meeting with Eugene, Stefan, and also Kyle in order to determine what streets that we were going to do and also kind of a budget. From that meeting, we were able to determine that we'd like to utilize MFT funds and also the Rebuild Illinois funds, which basically the village has recently received 2 years ago, I believe it was. In all, those funds will total around $379-ish thousand. Again, this is just approximation, depending on the amount of funds that we get through the MFT. In all, as far as streets, you can see the streets that are on that list: Beau Brummel, Joy Lane, Fawn Court, Maple Lane, Locust Drive, with some patching and also some various other patching throughout the village. Also Winmore, which is basically from Willow Lane all the way up to Bullfrog. We'd like to possibly go farther. It all depends, obviously, what kind of prices that we end up getting. That totals to around $380,000. We believe that we should actually have enough by the time MFT funds actually come in. With that street program in mind, is we'd only be using the MFT funds and the Rebuild Illinois funds. What we'd also like to do is possibly, if the board, depending on the budget this year, would be able to add in about $15,000 for some various swale work. This swale work that we've actually planned over the last couple of years, and it's just gotten worse through siltation. So we'd like to possibly add that. In the end, we might not have to use general funds. It all depends, obviously, what happens when the bids come out for the street program. Any questions at the moment?
No questions for the engineer? All squared away?
What do we think for time frame, Jeff?
I'm hoping to go out for bids. I think I included in there end of June, early July. going out for bids. That would mean it takes after bids a couple weeks for IDOT to actually review it. And then from there is we're probably looking beginning of August then for the start of construction. Obviously weather pending and also how quick that the documents can get approved through IDOT.
How long do you think it'll take to do Joy Lane?
Joy Lane, it'll probably be a day, 2 days of grinding. We'll basically be doing like we've done in previous years, to basically remove the top layer of asphalt and then replace it with 2 lifts of asphalt. So it'd probably be 2 days of grind, 2 days binder, 2 days surface, about a week in order to do that.
And we do one side at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. So basically traffic will still be able to go through and they'll actually have flaggers out there directing traffic too, so.
And then do we cut in like on the cross streets like Jamestown or Stevens Court or?
Yeah, there'd be a little, basically how we've done in the past is basically coming up to where the radius starts in the other street.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a quick thank you to Jeff for providing the trustees. It was a nice, concise summary of the entire 2022 road program. I've already used his figures and letter in a discussion over the weekend with another resident. So again, thank you for the concise summary.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, any other questions for the engineer regarding 2022 road program? Thank you, Jeff. Okay, next item, Director of Finance. Man,
We got a couple different items. The city or the village has contracted with ISOL to do our payroll program. And we did it that way where everything is electronic to save the village money. We had an employee who then asked for a hard check. Well, the problem with the hard check is that that was not part of the contract with ISOL, and it creates a situation where there's additional cost to the village. So we spoke with the employee who wanted the hard check rather than the direct deposit, and he agreed to pay the additional fees that the village has to incur in order to give them a hard check rather than the direct deposit. And so what I did was I wrote up a policy for your approval so that in the future, when the situation comes up, we have something written for it. So I would like a motion to approve the payroll policy for hard check requests.
So move.
I'll second it.
moved by Thorne, seconded by Hoffman to approve the policy procedure as outlined by Director of Finance Van. Further comments, questions, or discussion? Being none, roll call please. Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman,
Aye.
Mr. Dadley,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. The motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Second item that I have is the warrants in the amount of $79,551.32. I request a motion for that, please.
So moved, Diatley.
Second, Harney.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Harney to approve the warrants of April 4th, 2022 in the amount of $79,551.32. Any additions, deletions, comments, or questions? Being none, roll call please. Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mr. Dadley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
6 affirmative votes, no negative, 5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. Motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, the last item of business I have is the Mueller resignation. I had mentioned earlier that our accounting or auditing firm that we had hired to do our yearly audit, and they were scheduled to do this year's and next year's audit. They called me and said that they would not be able to complete the audit due to a lack of personnel. They had a large number of their employees leave, especially within the government sector. including the audit supervisor who was here this past year. So they said that they would not be able to complete their contract with us. I had requested a letter stating that, and I finally got one. At this point, I put out a request for proposals for other audit firms to be able to handle the audit of the village. And at this point, the requests are due this Friday. I have one, and on each and every year with the new contract, they are lower than what we would have been charged by Mueller. So in any of it, we should be okay. No motion or anything, it's just information.
Anything else for finances even? If not, thank you. Okay, comments from the public. Please note that according to ordinance section 1-5-4F of the village code, immediately following the finance director's segment of this agenda, there is a period for public comments. Comments are to be limited to 5 minutes per person. Total time allocated for comments to be limited to 30 minutes. Individuals wishing to address the board during this time may do so by placing their name on the sign-up sheet at any time prior to that segment of our agenda. Okay. The other item on public comments, please remember that this time is set aside for public to express their views, opinions, and positions to the board. It is not meant to be a question and answer period, nor is it meant to be an avenue of debate. Okay, going with the first one on the list, Dennis Donahue.
Yes, thank you. I live at 913 Acorn Drive, and I wanted to make the board aware of our policy on residential pyrotechnics. It's become a problem for me. I copied, if I may pass this around, the website page that addresses pyrotechnics for the village, and should also pass this around too. The pyrotechnics debris that ends up in my yard and in my pool. To address what's on the page here, that residents are required to submit a 15-day application if they want to have a fireworks display. It's required a permit. The permit also requires an indemnification policy for the village. Personally, I spent 40 years in the commercial insurance business, and I understand the importance of indemnification if and when something goes wrong, whether it be fire or personal injury or whatever. And I don't see the village enforcing any of the policy based upon the degree of some of the 4th of July, especially displays that go on. There's also inspections that are required for the permit, 2 inspections actually, and approval of those. And then the last portion here on the website addresses the need for the indemnification, so the village is not facing attorney fees, court costs, investigations, discussions, and so forth. I don't see this being enforced by the village, and I just want to bring that to your attention.
Duly noted. Thank you, sir. Okay, next item on Jenny McGuire.
Okay, so I wanted to address some of the answers that were given to us last week. Not to be dramatic, but they were kind of communistic answers. As the quote goes, that it takes a village. So I wanted to overcome some of the objections that were shot down last week or said that they were just going to be closed or anything else. So the Jill Peak resident, the swell situation is solved after 2 years of her coming here and pleading for help. Thank you to Kyle. Talked to over 40 people in the last 2 weeks about the storage units. Not one of the 40 people want the storage units coming in. Okay. The Locust Drive resident, they complained about the traffic and the painting on the bike path. Couple things that could be done by the village president or trustees is Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps. They are algorithm based. So it's a simple call from the president of the community to get in contact with them, ask them not to route traffic through our community. If that doesn't work, it's an algorithm based. It takes a simple drive through from every single person that's a trustee to go and report that traffic is high, and nobody will it'll change the algorithm of the Apple Maps or Google Maps, whatever people are using. Simple click of a button. IDOT is also looking into a traffic study on the east side of 31 through West Dundee. So they are interested in doing a traffic study on Locust at exactly the same time. And they can go farther in around the park as well. We have a congresswoman looking to help us with that, okay? Lake Sheraton, there is a federal grant available for the dam, has to be in by June 1st. Every single high school student at Dundee, Crown and Jacobs needs community service hours before graduation. My guess is there's a lot of students that have not got their community service hours in, and school's ending, I think it's May 23rd. What happens with that is we can have them help come clean up the lake. The service club is willing to help with that as well. Okay, the EPA has several grants for lake cleanups. Also, there's a green infrastructure grant that our lake would qualify for. So closing down the lake is definitely, you don't have the ability to do that single-handedly, okay? A homeowners association, a simple $100 per year. People in Sleepy Hollow are not broke. They can afford $100 a year. It's roughly $7 a month. We'll bring in an extra $200,000 a year to our community. Okay, and then I believe one of the topics last week too was affording things to the police department. This is a predominantly conservative community. If you drive through here 1 year ago, back the blue signs were always around. They will donate money to our police department. All we have to do is ask for it. Okay, they can afford to do it, so there's no reason to not have fundraisers at all of our community events. That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If you would be so kind as to share that information on the grant programs with the village clerk, I'd appreciate it.
For sure.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the list is Stephen Westland.
Well, my name is Stephen Westland, at 804 Locust Drive. Been there 4 years. I am a short caregiver for my 87-year-old mother who's lived here 40 years. She's really afraid to walk up to her mailbox to get the mail. She's afraid to go for a walk to cross Locust Drive onto the beautiful white bike paths that are across Sleepy Hollow. I myself, as a full-time worker at home, see this problem that Sleepy Hollow has every single day on Locust Drive. I see it every single day. Witness numerous ghost calls. It's just unsafe. What I've done in the area, look at other communities, I've seen what they have done to protect their citizens or residents and people. A good case is in Carpentersville, what has been done outside of auto engineering crossing the bridge. One can't help but slow down and notice what they've done to protect the people in that area. It's very straightforward, very obvious, or easy for anyone coming into the area to slow down, watch for pedestrians like they could do on Locust coming into Sleepy Hollow. Driving down Locust either way, you could do so much more with signage, markings and such. A couple ideas that I have seen throughout the village and other communities is marked driving lanes, marked bike lanes, a split medium down the center, at least for a certain portion of Locust, especially where it turns. We could reconfigure that road. It's available to do so. It's got a slight wind right now, and my driveway goes right into it. And that's a halfway point where all the speeders come, so I see them full speed every day. To offset that driving lane would make it a no-brainer for anyone coming off of 71 or 31, 72 or 31 into Locust to go, I gotta slow down because I can't fly through there like I am. And so some of the things I've seen also throughout what other communities are doing, the Sleepy Hollow can do with their problem, is by putting up additional signings, aside from the speed limit signs, is the recorded vehicle speed, such as we have on Sleepy Hollow Road. Be nice to get one of those again. I know the Sponsored Troop did that, but these are ideas. Awareness signs, pedestrians crossing, deer crossing, bicyclists, flashing lights on the signs, flags on the signs, reflective poles. All these are being done within other communities that we could do on Locust Drive. I'm just talking about Locust Drive tonight. And then just to wrap it up, please consider some of these ideas when we go to do improvements and or major construction on Locust Drive as what we've heard for some of these. But in the meantime, markings, signs would greatly help a lot. You know, to keep our residents safe. I mean, there's a real problem here that the village has on Locust Drive. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Next one is Bill Hoff.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to address the board and ask them if it would be okay if we did our 6th annual Earth Day cleanup on Saturday, April 23rd, between 9 and 12. All volunteers would come to the village hall as they have in years past. Kyle will help supply some of the accoutrements we would need, like pickers and the safety vests. And we would clean up in conjunction, hopefully, with the service club, John. Those guys handle 72, a little more dangerous there. But we would do Sleepy Hollow Road, Bonkoski, Locust, and any other roads that you guys can think of that really need some cleanup, especially at this time of year with everybody trashing things throughout the winter. So if you wanted to post it on Friends of Sleepy Hollow, I'll take that street name into account and we'll do like we have in the past. Thank you very much.
Sure thing. Thank you, Bill. Next, Ken Vanderberg.
Yes.
Any relation to the county, Vanderberg?
No. I live at 614 Arlington. I've been a resident for going on 24 years now. And I have a couple issues here with the culvert right at the intersection. I live at Arlington and Saddle Club Parkway. And the culvert, I have pictures here. The culvert here is collapsing. And 2 years ago, I had someone from Public Works here came to my house and showed him, and he agreed with me that it's collapsing, it needs to be repaired, and I was told that I would be put on a list. And that was going on 2 years ago. And since then, now I just noticed this, since the weather broke this year, I have this cement sleeve that connected to my drainage pipe in front of the house. Is here, if you want, I don't know who I should show these to, but cement sleeve. This is the under drain, 4-inch plastic under drain. And this is the culvert at the corner. Okay. They're both, and I don't want to find out the hard way what happens if this collapses. Sure. And something happens there. It's water's gonna. This one's off of Arlington. Yeah, right in front of my house. Yeah. Okay. If you want to keep those. I'll swing by tomorrow. Okay. And then, thank you. Yep. And then just one more comment that I'd like to add on to what somebody said about the speeding. My house backs up the Randall Road. Randall Road is a drag strip. Now, I don't know if you're aware of that, but something bad is gonna happen. I can't even sit with my patio door open, especially in the summer, because the loud cars and people starting at that light there. It's incredible, and it's only going to get worse with summer coming. So I just thought I'd add to the comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next one here, Mr. English, Rich.
Yes. Actually, I'm here to speak on behalf of the Service Club tonight. Next year is the Service Club's 50th anniversary, and it also happens to be the village's 65th. So we're in the process of looking at ways to make next year's 4th of July a little extra special to celebrate these two milestones. And the Service Club is already exploring ways to try to raise additional funds. Now, having just said that and knowing the situation in the village, I'm here to suggest or ask, actually, the village if they might be able to provide some donation as well. And again, we are going to celebrate not just our anniversary, but the village's anniversary as well. So that was basically it, unless somebody had any questions.
Okay, thank you, Rich. J.R. Jones.
That's me. I didn't have anything though.
Oh, okay. Well, you put your name on the list.
Oh, I thought I was checking maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, if anybody's looking, he was not here.
Still have 4 minutes and 47 seconds.
You could auction
I
them off.
got nothing else.
You could auction them off.
Next time, Joe.
Oh, maybe one thing, just the playgrounds. I got 2 kids under 2, and it's almost like it's hard wax, like the steps, and some of it's kind of coming off and it's rusty. So kids can fall and that's it.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you, sir. Last speaker, Shane Thurman.
Shane Thurman at 700 Clay Court as well. So I just wanted to say a couple things about the meeting that we had a couple weeks ago. I think that, and I'm a new resident here. I've only lived here for about a year. And I came here for the parks and the lakes and the animals and things like that. That was why I wanted to move out here from closer to the city. And I think when I was watching that meeting a couple of weeks ago, and there's some things that happened in that meeting where I was kind of taken aback, and I thought to myself, gosh, I hope that other people in the community have an opportunity to sort of see what's going on here. I was glad that there's a YouTube for that. And having taken, after that meeting, gone and spoken with a lot of people in the community, I could tell that there was sort of two different interests. There's an interest of newer people that have come in that feel like things could be a lot better. And then there's an interest in people who have been here for a long time and have felt like they've tried to get things to get better and that they haven't. And so they've sort of given up. And something that I saw really neat is I heard the week or 2 weeks prior to us coming to that last meeting, there was one person here. And then 2 weeks ago, I think we had five or so. And then we see what's happened at this meeting 2 weeks later. And I think that there's an interest for some real change. And people are going to start to really come through the woodwork to make that change happen. And I've seen how quickly we can come up with solutions that, the answer prior was just, we don't have money, but we find solutions very quickly. So I think that needs to change quickly. I think there needs to be a push to possibly get some new board members and new trustees and push to try to change and not just say we don't have money for things. And I know this isn't supposed to be a question and answer because obviously it went that way the last time, but I'm a business owner. I've been one for 15 years. I consult business owners, and I can tell when people are out of it mentally. And I've done it for a long time. And I guess my question is, if there's interest at some point for you to step down, would you step down if there was enough interest? And if not, do you have a plan after 20 years of when you plan to step down?
You asking me a question? Mm-hmm. No, I have no plans.
No plans. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, moving on with the agenda. Trustees report, roads and parks, Mr. Harney.
Nothing real specific. Maybe Kyle, by the end of today, the new signs going up on Locust, I know they've started there. The new ones that were purchased, do you know about how many more we have to put up?
Probably 20 more throughout Locust, Thoroughbred, Hillcrest, and then on the western side of town too. And eventually the goal is to get pedestrian caution signs with kids playing at every entranceway into the village. So when all the entrances off of 72, Sleepy Hollow Road, Randall, and then the one on Willow off of 31 have that sign up, along with some other signs as well. I have some wildlife crossing signs coming in. I'm not sure when they're coming, but they're on order.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick comment, and I'll address Lake Sharon. I would like to make a recommendation. Trustees have their different specialties, if you will. I've got a lot of background on Lake Sharon in the household, dealing with this situation for quite a few years with the ponds here and over in Bonkoski. Prior to a board meeting, I'll be happy to talk to you. The solutions that seem like are reasonable solutions, simply stated, aren't. There's a lot of research that has gone into this. So when I hear that we don't care, that frosts me a little bit. We're all residents in this community. The mayor and all the trustees do this with no pay. We're the only community in the area where it's structured like this. We do care, and we care a lot. That's why we're involved and why we're sitting in front of you. So again, regarding Lake Sharon, I'm happy to give an extensive background of what's been tried, et cetera. I applaud any new ideas in that, and we'll be happy to discuss them. Okay, thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Ed. Okay, finance, Mr. Hoffman.
Okay, we had our finance meeting last week on Tuesday, was it 31st? We had in attendance, we had myself, chairman of the finance committee, and also Kelly Thomas. We had one other member who did not show. She misinterpreted the schedule. And we also had Eugene, director of finance, Stefan, village president. We had Kyle for water, sewer, streets, parks, recreation, and we also had Chief Parma. And we did a line-by-line review of the 2022 and 2023 budget, which was my first as a trustee. Not my first as being on the finance committee, but the first, and was very eye-opening and very enlightening. And again, the meeting is open to the public. So I've sat here before and said this before, and it's not to be taken as being smart or anything like that, or facetiously or whatever. But as Stefan said, we had to make changes to a board to get volunteers. I've been volunteering in this village now. I've been here for 30 years, and I've been volunteering for probably 25 to 26 of those 30 years on different committees. And it's the same old, same old. Come to a meeting, one or two people. Now, I compliment all of you, commend all of you for showing up tonight. But I mean, something as serious as the finance budget, when we reviewed this the other day, something as serious as the finance budget for 2023 for the village, you would think you'd have some turnout. And we will be doing one or two more. And we try to schedule them around the schedules of the individuals here, and it will be posted. But if you can attend, and it'll give you an eye-opening on where the village stands and where its fiscal, status is, at this point. And like I said, you more than welcome to talk to myself or talk to Eugene, the director of finance too, and we'll cover any and everything that you ask in the budget if you have questions about it. So with that, I want to go through some of the lines and some of the things, the key highlights for the budget for 2023 that we discussed. And there's a couple of them in the packet. And part of the review too was what they call the 5-year capital improvement plan, where the village looks at high capital expenditures, which could be police vehicles. They could be vehicles for Kyle for taking care of the streets. It could be dump trucks, could be pickup trucks, could be chippers, could be any number of things. And also, again, the police budget, which is police cars, could be scanners, could be breath analyzers, any number of things that we've reviewed over the last year or two. So these were all part of it. But one of the things that I guess I'll start with, and nobody likes increases in budgets, but we did review the water and sewer. And I think most of you here in this room are aware that we purchase our water, the water from the city of Elgin, except for those few that do have wells. And what I was informed of too, I wasn't on the part of it last year, but the city of Elgin every year comes back with a rate increase. And that rate increase, if I'm correct, Mr. President, it could have been anything, correct? 2%, 3%, 4% on a yearly basis. Now, we have no control over that. That's the city of Elgin. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year we received notification from them, and the city of Elgin gave us a schedule of rate increases for water over the next 4 years. and was minimum 4% a year. So in 4 years, we're going to see minimum of 16% increase in what we pay the city of Elgin for water. So with that, as we reviewed the budget, and Eugene, speaking to the numbers here, and I've got them, we were, if I'm correct, going to be in a deficit of 40,000 next year for the budget for water. That's what the village is going to be. So our deficit to the city of Elgin would be $40,000 next year. So if we looked at each household in the village, and we have 1,200 households,
Roughly 1,000.
roughly 1,000. And if we were to raise the rates $5, that's $5,000. That doesn't come close to the $40,000. And there are street improvements, water and sewer improvements coming up in the next couple of years in our budgets that our engineering group has been working on, Kyle's been working on, and we'll see additional, but there'll be improvements, and there'll be improvements to the streets at the same time. So with that, we came out of the meeting, and we're going to be requesting a $30 monthly increase. Is that what we're going to do, or
$5 increase to $30.
$230? Okay, that's okay. So we're looking at 5 to 30.
25 to 30, moving from $25 to $30.
Right, okay. But the $5, as you can see, is only going to take care of part of that. And part of the rationale behind that is when we were at the meeting, we know that there are improvements coming up in the infrastructure and significant improvements over the next 2 years. Am I correct there? In about 2 years. So we're going to have to go back with another one at some point, but we don't know what that's going to be yet. As we've gone through the numbers, and we're still getting the bids in. And I think everybody can take a look at what's happening today. I mean, asphalt's going up like crazy. All kinds of costs are going out. So what we're looking at today is not going to be the same 2 years from now unless we get a locked-in contract, but we're too far off for that yet. So with that said, we're going to go to $30. We're asking the board to give it the approval to raise the rate from $25 to $30. So it's a $5 increase that will go into effect for next year's budget. Stefan, are we going to put that on the board now that do the approval tonight?
Yep, you got it on the agenda. Increase the water demand fee from $25 to $30. It's a recommendation from the finance committee to the water committee.
Yes.
And water's not here tonight, so we can either run it through and put it on for him or wait for him to bring it back with your recommendation. Which would, the next billing, if we do it now, then we've got it in the billing for May 1st.
May 1st is what I was shooting for.
What we're shooting for. So, and with the recommendation of the finance committee to increase the water demand fee from $25 to $30. Is that what you're looking for, George?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
$5 increase.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to increase the water demand fee from $25 to $30 a month to help fund the deficit, that will be running for water.
Do we have a second?
Second, yeah.
Moved by Hoffman, seconded by Diatley to increase the water demand charge fee from $25 to $30 effective with the May 1st billing. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
I have a question. I know that a couple of meetings ago, maybe 6 months ago, actually, we spoke as a board about the future improvements to water mains and more the infrastructure of all of that. And at the time, there was some conversation as to increasing the rates to take care of that in the future. So I understand, George, and the due diligence that you guys did, and unfortunately, because we do purchase stuff from another municipality, that we're trying to minimize this deficit so that we can pay our bills to the city of Elgin. So if we are going to be at a deficit, what impact does that have with Elgin supplying us water? Are there penalties that potentially they enforce if we're not paying the bill on a quarterly basis, or I don't know how often we pay them. And then the second part, it's more for a conversation, obviously. The second part of that would be, this is the water demand fee. And if we were, jumping ahead here at a particular time when water main maintenance may have to be done, would that also come under the water demand fee, or would we do it? It would still come under that, right? Okay. And that potentially at that time in the future would be looking for making loans and so forth, right? And I know we currently have a loan on our current bills, I think is finished later this year.
Next year.
Later, not in November. of
November
20
24th.
November 24, yes.
November 24, okay. So having said those couple of things, I almost want to say, should we look at only doing the $5 increase now, as opposed to doing, say, a $10 increase? I've always felt that it's better to have one decision than coming back, multiple times to have other decisions. Again, throwing it out there for conversation.
We talked about that before at the meetings, and we said that a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, 2 years from now, we may have to come back with a $20 one or $10, whatever it be. But going through the budget, and being that we're going to be in a shortfall for next year, I mean, I'm not used to doing business in a deficit, or running, you've got to have the funds to pay it. And yes, can we transfer? And I think we could, am I correct there, if you had to, or?
If we have to, but technically, the water department is what we call an enterprise fund, and it's supposed to be self-sufficient. We can, the village general fund can loan the water department some money. But that's different.
But we don't want it.
We don't want it.
And that's why we said we didn't want to do it. But I think we're just going to have to look at it and maybe bite the bullet and look at it 2 years from now, or maybe the end of next year, going into 2024, 2025. And we knew that last summer. We discussed that in depth, that we would have to. But for now, I think we definitely have to move forward with the increase. That's all I have.
That's it. Any other questions, comments? Any no further comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Prano,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. The motion so carries. Water demand fee will go from $25 to $30 effective May 1st.
Okay, without doing a line by line shortfall, overview of every one of the items, which took us in excess of 3 hours to review the initial budget the other day. Just to give you high-level overview with the 5-year capital improvement fund, we're looking at squad cars, new squad cars. With the squad cars, you've got all the equipment that comes with that. And you're looking in excess with the equipment to equip the cars of $50,000, per car. And one of the things that you have to give Chief Parliament credit for, he's done an excellent job since I've been here of maintaining the expense in the police department. And also with the budget, with the cars, we are getting a new car. We tried to order a new vehicle this year, but with the way things are, it was canceled, and we'll get it beginning of next year. Hopefully they'll start making it in October. We may see it by the end of the year. If not, then early first quarter next year. We also are going to budget every other year, correct? Like 2025 will be the next one, if I'm correct. So we are working, within the means that we have and trying to extend the budget out as far as we can. To make the funds that we have the best of the funds, or utilize them as best we can. So again, with that, we will have a new squad car next year in 2025, a budget for one, hopefully, which includes all the equipment. There was discussion, and we are looking at Sabatino Park to see if that at some point could be funded through the capital improvement fund. There's nothing definitive on that. And as I said, Parks, Ed had mentioned that each one of us have expertise in specific areas, or that's what we oversee. And Ed, I believe that's yours, isn't it? Sabatino Park? Parks and Recreation? That's his? Okay, so that's his. So there will be, that's being looked at. There will be additional discussions on that. And at this point, also, it's not being, there were some comments that I saw out there in social media that stated that the equipment was being demolished, that it was being pretty much condemned, and that is not the case. And I think you are aware that the village will work with Dundee Township Park District, the township, and they will be the ones, if I'm correct, Mr. President, right? They will be the ones to decide when it will be at its end of use, correct?
They inspect it for us and keep us appraised of its safety, yes.
And then there's some other capital improvements being made for 2023 in the village itself, with a new roof to the salt dome out here, which is in dire need of it. And the village roof has been moved out to 2024, which that was another one. This is the one we're under right now, which hasn't been replaced in quite a while. And there's also some infrastructure things with furnace and things like that that are being taken care of. So they were key ones, other than the normal everyday components that go into running, this village. We will be having a follow-up meeting probably within the next week and a half. It'll be scheduled, and anybody is welcome to come to the budget meeting when it is posted. And we more than welcome you. That's it. Sorry.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. Water and sewer, Mr. Nemec is not with us this evening and did not leave a report. Move on to police and public safety, Mr. Dietly.
Yeah, a couple things. The one item I have on the agenda we do not need to deal with, it's taken care of earlier at an earlier meeting. It was my oversight when I put it on there. A couple things though. Chief just told me before the meeting, we have received approval from the fire marshal for our fuel tanks. So those are moving forward, which is a good thing. That way we will have fuel tanks here that we can fill up our vehicles and save money for the village as we go along, and have that when we need it, since other businesses are closed at certain times of the day and night when we need fuel. So good news there. One other thing to let some people know, I have reached out to the village of West Dundee and Joe Cavallero again on the signage for possible things on the bike paths coming into Locust. I have re-emailed him. I've reached out to him, left him several messages, and I have not heard back from him as of yet. I am still tracking him down. I tried to track him down all day today. He was in and out of meetings and did not return my call. So we are continuing that process. I will keep working with him. When I talked with him in the fall, he said that they were willing to work with us. It was late in the fall, winter hit, so I understand that, but I'm trying to get movement on that as we go forward. But just to make sure that people are aware, those bike paths that come into Locust, those belong to West Dundee. They do not belong to Sleepy Hollow, but we're working with them to try to see if they can bolster those where they come into Locust, so we can have some more signage, more posts. So it not only slows people down, it slows kids down, so we don't have a danger of people running out into the street. So that's what we're trying to do. I will continue to try to call Mr. Cavallero and touch base with him, and as soon as I know something, I'll pass that along to you. And that's all I have. Chief, you have anything?
Just a brief comment about the signs that Kyle's doing a great job of getting the signs up. Just so everybody understands, that's one portion of what I think our long-term approach to the speeding problem in town is going to be. We still don't know what kind of funds we're gonna be dealing with. But once we have an idea of that, my plan is to sit down with trustee Diatley, trustee Harney, Kyle, and President Pickett, and some members from the community, and start developing a budget when we talk about purchasing, speed signs and speed measuring devices, things like that. And then identifying a long-term program that's much more sustainable. We've always knee-jerk reacted to the speeding problem in town, and obviously it hasn't solved it. And I can't promise you that we're gonna solve it, but we're gonna take a longer-term structured approach to how we're gonna attack it moving forward, okay?
That's all.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Chief. Okay, next is building and environment, Mr. Thorne.
No report today, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mark. Next one is building and zoning, Mr. Moreno.
Barb Detmer called me, our building department, and she received a letter from the parent teacher committee at St. Paul Elementary School looking to have a food truck on their property one day, Friday, May 6th. It's designed to serve the staff and to thank the teachers for all the work that they've done. It would not be open to the public. The food would only be, lunch would be served to the teachers and staff of the school. It also goes on to say that they'll take many catering precautions. The reason we're bringing it up is this will be a one-time variance of the current code. The current building code and zoning code in Sleepy Hollow does not allow for food trucks within the village, except when we make a change to that, which we're looking to make changes to many areas of the code during the next fiscal year. So I briefly spoke to the village clerk, and I'm not sure if we can do the motion now to allow for a temporary change of the variance to allow for that. So if we are able to do that, then based on the letter that we received from Sleepy Elementary School, Maria Pesek, and I'll pass this on to you, Tony, so you can put it into the record. I'd make a motion that we allow a food truck to be on premises at Sleepy Elementary School on Friday, May the 6th, for a one-time variance to our current zoning code.
Second.
Moved by Moreno, seconded by Thorne to approve the food truck on the parking lot of the school on May 6th. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes, motion so passes.
The other thing, just in general, is, as we approach springtime and summer, a lot of residents are going to want to do improvements, going to want to do different things. If anybody has any questions, you can always reach the building department. You can reach me. My phone number is on the village website. And at the same time, if there's any questions, just ask, because the worst that happens is, Barb Detmer and ICCI, her organization, drives around the village and shuts people down if they're in the middle of building, a new garage or something. So a lot of, we all recognize that when we make improvements to our own homes, we all want to take pride in that, but at the same time, there are regulations and statutes that regulations and ordinances that are in the code that allow certain things and prevent and don't allow other things. So questions, just reach out before those changes begin or those improvements begin as a residential house. That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Moving on to old business. Okay, got the pet tag fee increase from 2020. We need to move that up, like $5, it goes from 10 to 15.
What had happened is that it was passed, but it wasn't put into the ordinance. This was right at the beginning of COVID, right when we shut down. So the resolution had been made, but it was never made as part of the ordinance.
We need to revisit this and vote on the the increase of the pet fee, pet tag fee
Make it official.
to $20.
Okay.
Okay.
No. From
To
15.
15, from 10 to 15.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we increase the pet tag fee from $10 to $15. And I was the one that made the original motion. And I also have a pet, and he's got his $15 tag on him. But it was done at the same time that we talked about the village stickers. But yes, if we need to do that separately, I know it's on the bills currently that have gone out to make it, so.
All right.
Second, Diatley.
Moved by Morano, seconded by Deanne to approve the increase of pet tag fees from $10 to $15. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Being none, roll call, please. Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes, and motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Any other old business come before the board? There being no other old business, new business. I've got a reminder, we have a shredding event Saturday morning, the 9th of April, for residents of Sleepy Hollow. If you've got anything you need to be shredding, bring it on down. They'll be here from about 9 till noon. We typically do this about once a year. The state requires the village to shred various documents when we're done with them. And we have asked the shredders if they minded if they stuck around for a couple of hours, since we were paying for a 3-hour block, and take shredding from residents, and they've been willing to do that for, it's been a number of years now. That's Saturday the 9th. Other than that, any other new business come before the board?
Just a question, is the yard waste pickup starting now?
It should start 1st of April.
So
next
just
week.
That'll be this week, Steve.
Yep.
this
I
Thursday?
confirmed it today.
It's already April? When did it become
This
April?
Thursday.
That's April. Okay, I guess we've been talking April all night.
Thank you.
Didn't notice. Okay, any other, no other business to come before the board?
Motion we adjourn?
Second, Harney.
Moved by Morano, seconded by Diatley to adjourn. Roll call, please. Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Mr. Morano.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. We are adjourned until the 18th.
Hi.
Nice meeting you.
I'll have to talk it over. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, there would have to be some sort of official document.